In today's latest 5 insightful minutes, we're going to talk holiday predictions with recurring Omni Talk expert, Signify's very own Senior Vice President of Operations and Corporate Development, Bennett, giving him roughly 5 minutes to respond in rapid succession to our tough questions. Bennett, let's start by setting expectations for the holiday season. What does Signify's research tell us we should expect from customers and from retailers?
Yeah, so we just had a webinar where like year over year growth is like the number one thing that people are worried about, like top line. What are we going to see? And so if I look at McKinsey or Deloitte or our own data of projections, we see a pretty muted holiday period, like 5% up in terms of spending, but product volume up 8%. And so what that means is people are going to be buying slightly more things in their cart, but they're going to have more discounts applied. They're maybe going to go down one generation in terms of product level, maybe not the latest version of the earbuds they want, but the prior generation. We see a lot of substitutions down coming for this holiday season.
What about the deals that coincide with that, Bennett? We know consumers will be looking for them. Many retailers have a ton of excess inventory to offload. What has Signify seen from some of the transaction data that you've been collecting so far?
Yeah, so discounting being applied to carts is the highest that it's been since as long as we've been tracking this for years. So it's gone up year over year. It was, call it 18% last year. It's higher than 20% this year. We project that it will be in the 20 to 25% range for the holiday, which is unprecedented, nearly double what it was prior to COVID. So the thing with discounts is it's hard to know from other data sets if it's actually what's being bought at or if it's just what's being offered. So our data is like, hey, sure, you offer a discount, but how many people are buying it? And we actually look at how many of those actual carts that go through that are captured have a discount applied to them. That is at the all-time high. And so that to me says that people are really looking at attracting people on certain inventory, like move these old shirts, move this old electronics, right? From that perspective, there's a lot of that going on. And consumers are savvy. For the first time ever, since COVID rather, we're seeing the consumer price index for e-commerce be lower than overall US, which means that prices online are now lower than what you might see in a store. Now, historically, that was always the case. During COVID, that was not the case. So we've kind of reverted back to the mean.
So Bennett, since you brought it up and we've been seeing increases in inflation, by way of e-commerce, so far this year, what do you expect on the e-commerce side from an inflation perspective going forward?
Yeah, so inflation is if you take a look at overall card volume, it includes things like gas, right? Like groceries, a lot of those types of things, that is much higher, right, than inflation has been historically for e-commerce. Typically like the staples, right, of gas, electricity, all those things are ones being affected by Russia and the war in Ukraine and all those types of things more so than others. And so that's skewing the numbers for e-commerce. So actually we see inflation not affecting e-commerce nearly as much as the overall economy, which is again, why we're starting to see the price inversion, right, of the consumer price index for e-commerce. It's more about what is being sold online versus in card present.
Well, and Bennett, after what we covered quickly today, what would your advice be for retailers and brands as they head into the holiday who are listening to this?
Yeah, so I think that the really big things you have to pay attention to is first-time shoppers. We find huge influx of first-time people who maybe have never bought from you, maybe never bought from an online channel or a card not present channel before, and they really say and have an echoing effect. And we've seen that, like if you have a good gifting experience, a good holiday experience, you have a lot of glow associated with that brand, you can get repeat customers. We've seen that every single cohort since we've tracked that data. So make sure you have your first-time buyers with the best possible experience. It's just the basics. Get the items out on time, right? Like consumers don't care about your excuses. They don't care that you have logistical problems. If you promise that the thing will arrive on the 19th, it better be there on the 19th. And if it's going to change, let them know. And I think a lot of people have like kind of just missed that of like, just get the thing to the people on time. Tell them when they're just going to get there. To the extent that you can offer omni-channel, buy online, pick up in store, or pick up at Kohl's, or pick up at a Walgreens, or return at a Walgreens, consumers are demanding that. And we're seeing huge loyalty for that ease and convenience of picking it up. And I think a lot of people, especially ones in like operations or customer success, they focus on the sale, right? Again, top line, everybody wants to talk about the top line. But what we see is sales happen, then returns happen, then chargebacks happen. And each one of those is an echoing wave. And you have to really kind of shift your attention to, let's get the orders out, let's make sure they're shipped, let's make sure that everything's good. And having the people kind of follow where the workload is, or have technologies implemented that automate all of those. That's what you have to do in order to succeed in the holiday season.
Thank you, Bennett.